Let me now introduce Dr. Myriah Johnson. Dr. Myriah Johnson joined Farm Credit Services of America in 2022 as Vice President of Corporate Sustainability to start their sustainability program. As such, she launched work across multiple internal business units and conducted innovative, sustainable agriculture finance research. Myriah is also heavily involved with the U.S. Roundtable for Sustainable Beef, where she serves on the board of directors and is co-chair of the U.S. Roundtable for Sustainable Beef Goals and Progress Working Group.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to be with you this morning. I'll just echo many of the comments that have been made. This is a fantastic event with many bright minds here. So I wanted to jump in and share a little bit about the farm credit system to give you a little bit of background. And I think I'm probably going the wrong way. Nope. Somebody's going to help me out. That's good. All right, here we go. So the farm credit system is a system that extends across the entire United States, and both John and I work within the farm credit system. And so I represent Farm Credit Services of America, but also as well as Frontier Farm Credit and Ag Country Farm Credit Services. Let's see if I can send this in the right direction this time. There we go. So just to give you a little bit of perspective about farm credit, is U.S.-based as opposed to our Dutch partners here on the panel with us today. This crazy map that's overwhelming to look at, you can just get a sense for how many different farm credit associations there are across the U.S. We're each a cooperative, and so we are owned by our borrowers. And so there's just under about 60 associations in the U.S., and there's in every single state as well as Puerto Rico. And so we're working with many of the farmers and ranchers that are in agricultural production, as well as throughout the rest of the supply chain as well. And so to give you a little bit more of that flavor, more specific on the territories that John and I serve in, you see in green the associations, the states where I represent, and then in that navy blue would be Ag West, where John represents and serves customers within those areas. And so within much of the footprint, as you'll get a flavor from John, I'm sure there's a lot of dairy financed. We have a lot of dairy that we finance in our portfolio within those states that we serve and outside of those, as well as a lot of beef cattle production. And so that's probably a little bit more of the expertise I can lend to you today is around the beef cattle production and the financing and the methane emissions, because these great folks I'm on the panel with are certainly thinking about the dairy side and have that pretty well nailed down. And so relative to FCS America, Ag Country, and Frontier, just to give you a bit of an understanding of the breadth of our portfolio, we are the largest farm credit association within the farm credit system, so in the nation. And so as part of that, we do finance approximately 15% of all U.S. dairy cows, and so that is not within just our geographical footprint, that green area that I showed you on the previous slide, but we also participate in many other deals. So there are many of our dairy lenders who are working with John every day, and we share in many of those financing deals. And then we also work with some of the smaller farm credits where maybe they can't lead on that deal, but we'll lead and they will participate in that as well. And so you see a lot of that coverage down in Texas or even Colorado and Kansas, and many of those states shaded in blue. So there's much of that in our portfolio. A lot of that lives in what we refer to as our commercial or our corporate portfolio. And so that tends to be those larger size customers. On the beef side, we do finance 15 of the largest 30 cattle feeders in the U.S. And so again, similar to dairy, we may not lead on all of those, but we are certainly involved in them, but do lead on several. And there are customers in 21 states. And so that's rounds out to about 50% of the cattle on feed. And so we have a lot of innovation, just like dairy. Beef is moving into that, and we has a handful of customers now who are starting to put in roller compacted concrete in their yards. And so we've been a part of those deals and to help finance those And in some, working to get an environmental bond from the state that's a part of that financing paired with the financing that we can provide. But in all of those, similar to the comments that have been made by Greg and others, we're helping to analyze what the potential is there, because we often talk about, it's not sustainable if it's not profitable. And so we like to have that certain capital, and we want to make sure that these are going to be good deals. And so there's much that we do to finance agriculture around sustainability or around methane every single day. We haven't necessarily had a named product, but it's just been the nature of what we do. So many of our RMs, our frontline officers, they're working with our customers to tailor their financing products to fit their needs so they can bring these different opportunities to bear. And then lastly, I'll touch on the cow-calf side. And so as you can see, we have over 16,000 cow-calf operations that we finance within our portfolio. That would be more within that green state area that I highlighted. And we also have our retail, what we refer to as our retail portfolio, which would be many of the smaller customers. So as you think about individual farmers and ranchers, that's the type of and size of customers that would be within that. So again, we're touching a large percentage of the U.S. beef cattle production, whether it's on the cow-calf side or on that beef feedlot side. And amongst our financing activities, roughly half of our financing is within that retail side, and the other half within that corporate and commercial. So really working to serve, not just the large, but also the very small, and helping to make that incremental movement forward as well. And then relative to our associations, then sustainability focus, for AgWest and myself, our regulator, the Farm Credit Administration, we have not had any mandates set forth as to how we will serve customers or that we should make any sort of goals around climate. For each of these institutions, while we're all in the farm credit system and we certainly talk and we may coordinate on a few things, we also operate independently, and that should be noted. And so, but I would say we are similar in the sense that nobody has come out with a mandate or a large goal, but really we've all had the goal of being here in support of our customers. And so when FCS America, Ag Country and Frontier, we launched this sustainability program almost 3 years ago now, we had these 3 areas that we wanted to be dedicated to. Around education, because that was a part of why we started this. We had many of our customers who were saying, can you help me understand the sustainability space? There's a lot of new actors out here. There's a lot of new startup companies. And they're coming to me with all these different opportunities, but I don't know who to trust. But yet I trust you as my financial advisor, my partner. Can you help me to make sense of this? So we want to provide that education to them so they can make sharper business decisions, as well as we want to be able to provide knowledge and education to our teammates who are engaging in those conversations with our customers every single day, and so that they are comfortable with that. We also want to be able to enable our customers, and so, Greg mentioned the specialized product that they have. We have not had a specific specialized product to date that's a named product around sustainability. I will include a bit about the research. We did do some customer and non-customer research just over a year ago, asking our customers what they would want if we did create something. So trying to maintain a very customer-centric approach in anything that we would advance and move forward, because we want to make sure that we are in service of them. And as I mentioned, we're a cooperative. And so that's our job. They own it. They are our owners, and so we want to do what is to the benefit of them. And then lastly, around engage, being, a partner within industry, within other companies, around sustainability. And so as mentioned, one of those organizations would be the US Roundtable for Sustainable Beef. We've been heavily involved in that, and you heard from Sam Worth yesterday afternoon, some others around all of the great work that USRSB is doing. And so that, whether it's there, or we have folks at the Dairy Sustainability Alliance meeting today, Field to Market, or any of these other organizations where industry is leading, we want to be there and be in support of those voluntary and market-driven activities around sustainability. Again, representing the voice of our customers while we're there. So with that, I will hand it over. Thank you.